Hi everyone, my name is Diane Mitchell and I'm the founder of the wonderful World of Wellbeing, and I'm here today with one of our online gold members, and I'd like to introduce you to Joanna Bristow-Watkins of Harmony Healing. Hi Joanna.
Hello.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in today and just letting us hook up and do this brief that we want to give a little bit more insight to members of the public out there. So, and the purpose of this today is our business, like every other business possibly on the planet, has changed due to COVID. And pre-COVID, we ran live wellbeing festivals in the north and here in the south of England as well, which are all on hold until it's safe and appropriate to do so. So we've moved part of our business community online, still wonderfulworldofwellbeing.com, but for the endearment term of that, we call it WOW Online. And Joanna has and is one of our gold members. There's a variety of opportunities, but through our business relations, Joanna decided to become a gold member. And we've got some gold social days coming up. And this is why I wanted to just have a chat and also be able to bring to the public's attention, if you can give us any nuggets of what we should expect to see when we're in there. So first of all, Joanna, you are the owner of Harmony Healing, and do you want to just tell us a little bit about your offerings and let people out there know exactly what it is you do?
Thank you. Well, the one sort of statement, if you like, that underpins everything is ancient healing for modern living. So I do have a lot of different hats that I wear, like many therapists, I think, in today's world. But yeah, that's a very big part of it. And predominantly connecting with nature really comes through very strongly. So my sister is an angel author, so I'm very well versed on angels, and they come into my work as well. And through the ancient healing for modern living, really it's about taking ancient philosophies, particularly Egypt, that's where I'm most knowledgeable, taking their knowledge and making it workable and presentable for the 21st century. And you know, a lot of that was about connecting with nature. The Egyptians believed that, and so did a lot of the other ancient cultures, that we had to connect with the land below and also the sky and the stars and the moon above as well.
And I think that is a constant thread through everything connected to well-being, isn't it? It's not just now, it's right back ancient times as well. But I think there's a modernist side coming back into it now with the forest bathing. Is that right? Would you agree?
Yes. I mean, forest bathing is a relatively new skill for me. I learned to be a forest bathing guide about 2 years ago, and it was wonderful because the principles underpinning it were very aligned with what I was already working with. You know, this connection with nature, as I said, was paramount. So in a way, the forest bathing brings it all together under the canopy of trees. So we all walk along together. When obviously lockdown allows us, or no lockdown, hopefully, we get there under the canopy of trees and talk about the benefits of connecting with the earth and connecting with the trees themselves and the chemicals that come off the trees. And we talk about the fantastic connection that trees have with each other, called the Wood Wide Web. And that for many years, as somebody who taught meditation, I do one-to-one healings as well, past life readings and all sorts of things, plus I teach the Egyptian alchemy healing as well. So for many years we've talked about the need to be connected with the earth before you meditate, to make sure that you're fully grounded. And now we've got a structure through which to do that, this actual web that exists underneath the earth that I've learned about through forest bathing.
And there's something really grounded in that, isn't there? You know, I mean, in natural senses, you know, half the time when the weather's good, or depending on where you live, you want to get your shoes off and go for a walk on the beach and connect to that sand and the water. You want to go to parklands where you can feel the earth beneath your feet, and it's taking in all your senses of the touch of the trees, you know, and hopefully connecting to what we know as trees have spirits, as well as just the ethereal, and taking in the fragrances of the forest as well. You know, there's something, I think, really intrinsic about the whole sensory experience of connecting with Mother Earth. Would you agree?
Absolutely, because you know the five senses that we recognize in our society, taste, touch, smell, hearing and sight, they can all be experienced outdoors. And I mean, those interestingly, a little aside, that my Egyptian mentor, who died in 2008, who underpinned a lot of my understanding of Egyptian philosophies, told us that we have access to 360 perceptions. So those 5 are absolutely the tip of the iceberg. But out of those 5, we can develop those senses enormously from being weak to being strong. And of course, COVID has undermined a lot of people's taste and smell. So we do, in the forest bathing, we do undertake some exercises to try and make them more acute. And even if you're quite good at it, you can still improve it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we need today, is to learn and gain and gather a new toolkit for how we need to live in this new world.
Yes, I mean, nobody obviously would have wished this situation to have happened to the planet. It's been really awful. And the impact on our economy and our politics are yet to be determined, really. And I'm not looking forward to discovering the impact long term. But in the short term, the one benefit that has come out of this is that people have realised that it's time that they took responsibility for their own well-being. So a lot of us have known from a long time that whether you catch something or don't has a lot to do with the strength of your immune system. And many of us have known that your diet and lifestyle affects that as well. But now it's becoming more mainstream that people are realizing that they can take that matter into their hands a little bit more, take a little bit more effort to get the exercise and to get the fresh air and to eat better food and sleep more, what's the word, more thoroughly, if you like, to not wake up a lot in the night and get up and do things, to really have one good night's sleep is very therapeutic. So a few people listening to this may know about the autonomic nervous system. I don't want to go into it much, but essentially it can be in 2 modes, which is the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And we know that the parasympathetic, which is the rest and recuperate mode, is really, really helpful for boosting your immune system and keeping you, less likely to pick up problems like COVID, to be honest. It's not the only thing that you can be susceptible to if your immune system is weak, but this whole attitude towards that being a new risk that we've got to be, alert to, means that people are taking on board the need to take those steps to get themselves into the best possible place.
Absolutely. And about the internal decision making, even at such a deep level, what can be a soul level, where people don't even realize sometimes decisions are taking place within the body rather than what's coming out of the mouth, so it's being aware for those who are, and those who aren't can tap into the likes of your extensive offerings to be able to discover and develop that even further, because it is a change in time, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, mindfulness has really come into its own in the last few years, hasn't it? And obviously you and I both work with mindfulness ourselves, but mindfulness in nature is really the underpinning of forest bathing. And because by developing our own sensory perceptions and growing those 5 perceptions that we talked about, making them more acute, actually that enhances all sorts of other things, like your memory, for example. Lots of memories are stored based on smells and sounds.
I know. I went out for a 1.5-hour walk on Saturday, and I think I did post it somewhere in a private message, but on the backs of social media. I said, I feel as though my entire physical, mental and emotional state has had a service. And that was and I did. And I've said for years, we need to service everything, don't we? But just being out there, the weather was perfect. The environment, I could look up, I could look down, I could left or right, and I just really absorbed the nature that I was in, and it was absolutely beautiful. I felt as though I'd had a therapy session, but being mindful of the environment I was in as well. So we can connect to that, but it's having that awareness and doing things on purpose, isn't it? And making the choices on purpose I think is really empowering in a time where people may feel as though they've less choices than they ever had. And we're in a changing time, but even making an empowered choice to take on a therapy and engage in whatever that is, mindfulness, forest bathing, alchemy, healing, that just making that choice can make a massive difference to the cellular response internally, what then connects you to a whole new level altogether, doesn't it? So everything's a journey, isn't it? you know, and I don't even know how long. I know when I first met you, it was probably about 3.5 years ago. And we've arrived at where we are right now, but it's not what I would call home, because for me, every journey, whether it's working with clients, the client therapist experience, or business to business, everything is a journey, and you just want that to grow and improve along the way, don't you? So, but we've arrived at where we are right now, which is part of our journey, and I'm very pleased to say it's been amazing working with you so far and what you've delivered to some of our community. So what was your, can you remember what your first actual engagement was with WoW, and briefly tell us about that?
Well, it probably would have been the networking physical meetings that you were doing in Twickenham, because, you know, as you say, we met 3.5 years ago. That was before you started your events in the south. You were doing northern events then, and we talked about that. And I couldn't make the first 2 events of yours, which actually really disappointed me at the time, because I did hear really good things about them. But we definitely met at the networking groups that you were running at Twickenham, as I said. And I think that just cemented what had already started from that first meeting all those years ago. And I mean, your skill, or one of your many skills, I'm sure, but you do have an amazing skill for just sensing when 2 people are going to have good synergy. And I have been the fortunate recipient of those feelings a few times, when you've put people onto me that you really felt had a good synergy with what I do. I'm very grateful for that. One of them has gone on to become a very good friend and good client as well. So yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, what I do is a little bit out there for some people, and that's fine. I mean, I don't feel it's my purpose in life to convert everyone to my way of thinking. But like you say, what I am doing is looking at the person from an energetic perspective. So if they came to me for one-to-one healing, for example, or a reading, then what I do is I tune into the person. You know, what does that mean? You know, and it is a bit out there, but essentially it feels like a heart-to-heart connection is set up. An invitation is sent energetically to that person. Do they want me to ascertain what senses I get about where they are in their life in that moment? So sometimes the message will come through as an image or as a feeling, or it can be what I assume might be a past life glimpse. So, I mean, I can't prove if it was a past life or not. Maybe one day we'll have the facility to be able to prove these things, but at the moment it's pure speculation. And I can't rule out that the person's response is a placebo, which is where if the, you know, it is definitely coloured by the person's belief. So if they have a belief in my work, they're more likely to have a positive response. And actually, I have been successful with people who are relatively open-minded or even a bit skeptic. But if I came across somebody who really couldn't accept what I do as a tool likely to be effective, then I personally wouldn't engage in any kind of work with them. That's my point when I say I'm not on a mission.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly believe in that, because as part of what sits at the top of the umbrella of Wonderful World of Wellbeing is the authenticity, you know, and everything we do and the people we engage with and the people where the synergy is right for them to come on board in terms of business to serve the public and serve the community, the wider audience. It's got to be completely transparent, hasn't it? People have to have that ability to be able to say, do you know what? This may be just not for you. But no, there's no need to sell anything to anyone. We're all adults here, aren't we? You know, and that's one of our drivers, and perhaps one of the underlying reasons why it was a natural journey for you to join forces with us, and a mutual thing, because you don't get that from us and we don't get that from you. And it might not be voiced initially, but of course that exploration is always looking for that. What is the business person wanting? You know, because I've never got out of bed for money, but yet the benefits have been far greater for me and the other people, you know, on the receiving end of, and I'm sure it's the same for you. When you're working at such a high vibe, what I call a vibration, it's a bigger picture, and it's not about the money, and it's certainly not about the investment that the public can make with us, is it? Because the return is priceless, you know, and that comes in every sense. So
Well, the thing is, if there is no synergy with the client, then, as you say, the exchange isn't going to work. And even if I had a formula that would work for them, I know that they would dismiss it. And there is such a thing as a nocebo, which is the opposite of a placebo. If you really don't believe in something, you can undo its benefits. So yeah, I don't feel I need to go there with those people that aren't ready. And they're better off finding somebody that they do have synergy with, you know, with a different mindset. So talking about the past life glimpse, for example, as I said, I can't be sure if it really happened, but what I do know is if I get a story about somebody that maybe they were a little urchin in, I don't know, the Tudor period, which comes up a lot, actually. I think that's particularly for us in England and around here, because I live quite near to Hampton Court, as do you. So yes, it's a very big energy in our lives, isn't it? That whole persona and era of history. So if that sort of life came up and I saw somebody as maybe they were a little beggar boy, and maybe they were a woman in this life, you know, but in that lifetime they got hanged for stealing a loaf of bread or even a crumb, you know, because things were pretty poor in those days in terms of justice, then even if what I've seen isn't actually a past life, even if it's just a metaphorical thing, that particular person has issues about justice, that they're on a mission to always make sure that punishment serves the offence and not in any extremes, that even with regard to carrying it through to their work, that they really carry on a sort of mission of truth and honesty and integrity. So the thing is, what the story that comes up for me, if it isn't a past life, it could just be a metaphor that I've been given in order to get us to the point for that person of what is the issue that's holding them back in their progress. And their brain only has to, on a very small level, accept that past life as a beggar might have had something to do with it, for them to be able to reboot themselves. Even if that's not the real reason.
Yeah, but the realization of a subliminal connection can be the opening of a new door with the right processes and steering that ground and providing the seed work and the insight in the first instance. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yes, it's simple.
Yeah, and you can't and don't even need to put it in a textbook, because no two human beings are the same. And this is the beauty about the level of exploratory work that you've done over the decades to bring yourself and your offerings to what we have now, what you have to be able to share out to the public. So as with yourself, excuse me, and COVID's been mentioned a couple of times, and we've transitioned online. So it's not to take place at the festivals, but it's a new permanent home for our business community so that we can continue to provide insight and reach out to the public to let them know these high-level professional offerings that are on offer. So, and that's only recently been launched, hasn't it, the back end of 2020. So what was it that made you sort of transfer or decide to come onto the online portal, if you like? What was that decision?
Yes, can I find the trigger? Well, I'd already booked a place on your in-person event, hadn't I, which had to be postponed indefinitely for the moment, we hope not forever, and having seen a couple of those examples of synergy come forth, I suppose there was a part of me that was very curious about what you were developing, because you clearly had a good database of the right sort of people and a good database of good practitioners and therapists as well. So when you had this idea to bring together an online department store, it seemed like if anybody was going to be able to make it work, it would be you. So having sort of looked at what was on offer, I thought, well, I'd probably really kick myself if I didn't get involved in the beginning. I mean, obviously things take a while to take off, and that's the same with any new project. But the learning curve is always more interesting when you're in it with the developers. So in some ways it was fun to be involved from the start and see how it was all coming along. Yeah,
fantastic. And like now, we're at the foot of launching our inaugural Gold social media days, which is part of our ongoing commitment and part of there's different levels that people can join us coming to WOW Online, but you chose to have 3 gold categories. And within that, I think we mentioned a couple of them earlier. Obviously, you're getting a showcasing across different channels on the website itself. And then we support you in social media, and there's all sorts, isn't there?
Yes.
Mail lists, sending out mail shots and across our social channels. But then we've introduced for our gold members what we call gold social days, to raise more awareness around your specific business elements, which is, you've got several of them, 3 different categories with us. So, and the first one is being rolled out on the 6th of February. So what does that mean to you? How valuable is it to you and your business that, what is it that a gold member will bring you, and also from being able to have this extra coverage? Because I know you do a lot of social media coverage yourself, don't you? I think you're out there and one of the people who have had so well versed in it. You roll a lot out anyway. But what are you sort of, how valuable is it to you being a gold member and getting this extra coverage that we supply as part of your memberships?
Well, I think it can't be overlooked that the more people that there are in the group promoting somebody, the wider the reach. And yes, I am out there on social media. I'm pretty active. It's been a really busy time for me, actually, because I moved online quite quickly after COVID. I didn't want to move online. I was a great believer in being there in person, and being in proper venues. I've been a trainer in industry before I got into healing, so I was reluctant, but it's worked really, really well. But I do understand.
I remember the conversation we had when you're going, what's going to happen here, Diane? I'm in person. No, Joanna,
Yes.
Move it online, you'll be fine. And you've just blossomed, haven't you?
Well, it's really opened up my audience so much, because I've probably had more people through my training program in the last year than the last 5 or 6 years, which is incredible. And we had people ticking over all the time, but it's just opened up the I've got international people, quite a few in 1 or 2 in Australia, several in America, and other European countries as well. So the time zone is a bit of an issue, but other than that, it's just so easy to have an international forum. And I've been amazed at how the rapport of a group online is as good. In fact, I'm not even sure if it couldn't be better, which seems weird, but I think part of it is, in the past I would have done 2 or 3 day courses in one venue, and of course everybody would have a rapport with each other, but they've only spent 2 or 3 days together. Whereas on this course, because we do a couple of hours every week for 3 weeks to finish a module, then even though they've probably not spent that many more hours with these people, because it's been more spread out, and we've been communicating by social media and WhatsApp as well in the interim, it feels like they've known each other for much longer and in much more depth. So yes, it's affected everything there as well. But my point is,
people do adjust to all circumstances.
They definitely do. They definitely do. Yes.
Even with the levels of resistance, it's still adjusting, isn't it? We get
absolutely. Yeah, so I was going to say that with my own social media, without paying for advertising online, which I used to do, but it was a bit hit and miss really with advertising through Facebook and stuff, then I'm mostly posting to the people who are already in my catchment. So that's where you bring something new to the party, basically, and that's that your catchment is a different catchment. And we're going to have some overlap, of course. I will know people from the WOW group who I've met through the networking online and in person, but I've also got access to the people they know. So it's infinite. And I mean, things like on a Tuesday and a Saturday, we get a special showcasing, if you like, with the Facebook program that the gold members can draw attention to projects that they're about to start. But more exciting is, as you say, these multimedia spotlights, if you like, which enable us to reach new destinations and new formats.
Yeah, so we've got our first inaugural Gold Social Media Days are coming up weekend beginning the 6th of February, and the following weekend the 13th of February. It's over Valentine's weekend, so we're going to be covering 2 weekends. And like I mentioned earlier, you've got 3 gold memberships with wonderful World of Wellbeing. So just for everybody out there who's watching this video, and people out there who are watching this video, I think, do you know what? I know somebody who might want to listen to this or meet this woman, Joanna. Can you give us any snippets and insight? I mean, I don't even have the information yet of what you're going to present, but can you share anything with us and give us all some insight as to what we should expect to see over your 2 weekends of gold social media memberships?
Well, there are going to be a few teasers, let's say.
Right.
So, I mean, for example, one might be thinking, Egyptian alchemy, what's that? So we'd like to try and make that a little bit more accessible to people by talking to individuals who've studied already, because I do a module called chemitology, which is the old name for Egypt was chem.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at the philosophies that are not part of what you would learn in history, but what we've learned from the original indigenous wisdom keepers on site there. So that's a little bit different. And I talk about all sorts of the ancient deities there and how you can work with them safely and so on. We also work with the violet flame of Amenti, which is a tool of transformation. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. We might be doing a couple of examples of quick past life readings online. Got a few of those recorded. We might be able to edit some information out of that. And of course, the forest bathing, we can tell you about how it works. So it would have to be a virtual forest bathing, but we can give you a little taster into what goes on. And we also know that even just thinking about being in the forest is beneficial, because certain of the mental acts that would go on if you were to be outside do start to trigger even when you're only thinking about it.
Yeah. So all of these components don't make up everything that you offer, because it is a vast array, isn't it? But what you just mentioned there are examples of what people are going to see, and introductions to snippets, information across, whether it's through video, through mail shots, whether it's through social media posts on the wonderful World of Wellbeing social platforms. People will be given insights to all of these tasters to see whether it's something that hopefully they will choose to bring in to enhance their own well-being over these 2 coming weekends in February, the 6th and the 13th. So that's absolutely phenomenal, and I'd like to thank you for that. So what we will be doing is, for everyone's benefit, you'll see below this video that Joanna's links for the different categories that she has, whether it's videos and the social links that are going to come out and the advertisements over these weekends to support the different elements that Joanna's doing. You'll see all the links below, and you can click on those links, which will take you directly straight through to different ways of how you can communicate. Whether, are you still okay with email? Are you still okay with phone number? So all these portals that you will see Joanna on wonderfulworldofwellbeing.com, you can choose to connect with her in ways that work for you. Because I say we, as in yourself, me, our business community, we are well-being, aren't we? You know, and every single thing we do purports to well-being. So the fact that we're at the foot of a new year, that I think for some people may have thought 2020 was going to bury COVID, but that's definitely not the case. It's about reframing and restructuring and taking control and making decisions of our own health and well-being and how we choose to navigate through our new ways. But doing that on our own is a really isolated thing to be able to do, and I say able to do because many it's not able. And why do they need to when we've got this level of professionalism and expertise and choices? You know, I mean, you must have reeled off 13 elements, 14 elements of your business just in those nuggets alone of all these insights. So for me, I really appreciate the fact that we're collaborating together and what our relationship has grown into, because I know firsthand the essence of what our visitors and members of the public are going to receive from you at the caliber that you offer. And for that, I'm truly grateful and appreciate both your time here today and your membership that you've chose to collaborate with us with, because without this level of professionalism and the collaborations, it'll prevent us from getting out to the public. But because it's happening, then our value is to change the way that people perceive and integrate and develop their well-being for life. And I think one of the things you touched on earlier was COVID shone a torchlight over everybody's health and well-being. And this is our time, isn't it? You know, more so than ever before. And that audience reach potentially is global, so that people from overseas can get a taster of what you're offering based here in the south of England. So it's limitless, isn't it, really? So I'm absolutely delighted that in a way we're business partners, for want of a better expression, the collaborations that we've created in working in, this is not a pun, Joanna, it's just coming out, working in harmony together. And I know your company's Harmony Healing, but wow, you know, it is a brilliant, harmonious journey. And I'm just so excited for people to be able to see everything that's going to be out across weekend of the 6th and the 13th of all your offerings that they can tap into and engage with, that's going to change their lives for the better. So thank you very much. Is there anything you would like to say to members of the public to close on this?
Just going to say, we hadn't actually mentioned the WOW blogs.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Well,
so that was another opportunity that came with the gold, to be able to put your blogs out there. And I mean, the only thing stopping me putting more blogs out has just been that I've been so busy, which is a good thing.
And we all know blogs are a fantastic marketing tool, aren't they? You know, we've got a section just for blogs on our website. And the one you did at Christmas, Angels Are Not Just for Christmas, had far great reach and beautiful read. So, and another benefit of being a member. So yeah, and so for anybody who's looking to extend their client reach, business reach, business community, please come forward, and it's a no obligation discussion, and perhaps receive some of the benefits that Joanne's receiving as well. So, but until then, we will look forward to seeing your offerings en masse over the weekend of the 6th of February and the following weekend, the 13th. Okay. All right, Joanna. Well, thank you. So this is Joanna Bristow-Watkins from Harmony Healing. Thank you for your time today. And I'm Diane from Wonderful World of Wellbeing. Okay.
Bye.